I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, is something untimely, something unfortunate, something tragic going to happen to Diddy? Are we going to wake up one day and find out that he suffered the same fate as that other person whose last name begins with the fifth letter of the alphabet that I refer to as this? If there's no Diddy, there's no nothing. I mean, you can divvy up Diddy up, if you will, his property, his mansions, his cars, his record catalogs. You could have an estate sale, so to speak, for people who sue his estate in probate after his untimely demise. But there's no case. There's no finality. It destroys names being mentioned, people being identified, defendants, and criminal activity being corroborated. It's over with. It's done. People use the term corpus delicti, the body of the crime, incorrectly to refer to the idea that if there's no body, no person, there's no crime or something. That it really deals with the laws of confession and admission. It's a different story. But let's just assume that there is no Diddy for whatever reason. Remember the 4 types of death, 4 sources of death. Think of the acronym NASH: natural, accidental, suicide, or homicide. Actually, there's another one, unexplained, so NASHU, but unexplained kind of is a given. If it's a natural demise, well, that's one thing. If it's accidental, if it is some type of self-harm, which always is somehow always understood. People say, well, I understand that. Well, you go from a life of luxury, a life of glamour in his manse and his where he lives, and his millions and millions of dollars and platinum jewelry and women, and now he's squatting over a stainless steel toilet wearing jogging clothes and garbage, and nobody sees him, and he's getting resentful, and he's somebody sometimes gets to the point where they want to clarify this. You don't understand. What am I doing here? I'm not the only one. I didn't make these people do this. They liked what I did. They liked my parties. They liked my freak offs. And now, oh, look at this. They're. And if something ever happens where, lo and behold, he's found perhaps at the doing himself indistensibly, people say, well, I can understand that. That's what happened with the other guy. People always think that folks who are incarcerated, this is a natural way out, even though this particular means of finality is a rarity. It doesn't happen. I mean, it happens occasionally. Isn't that interesting? People who are looking at 25, 30, 40 years, people life in prison, they don't do that. There is this tenacity that people have to maintain life. It's this life force. And you can go through historical references, people in labor camps and concentration camps, and people with absolutely no seeming end or positive result. Even they maintained and did not harm themselves. So it's not something that's common. But to the average person watching this, to the lay public, they say, well, I understand that. And that means that if in the event it were to happen, if in the event it were to be the case where something like that were to, God forbid, occur, nobody would care. Nobody would be demanding an examination. Look at the other fellow. The other fellow who basically had evidence of and indications of petechial hemorrhaging, livor mortis, fractured hyoid bones, thyroid cartilage, all of the indications and indicia of a homicide. And nobody cared. Even in this world that we live in, where people claim to, love CSI and forensics, and we love all this stuff. Yet, when the facts of the case, which oftentimes are more important than the actual evidence of clinical reasons, clinical bases, clinical indicia of such, those are really the reasons why people should be paying attention and people should be watching. In that particular instance, a lot of times people just look the other way because we're too busy during an election season. But understand something, going back to the original question, if for some reason Diddy is no more, for whatever the reason, whatever the cause, but if he is extinguished, expunged, abrogated, if he is expurgated, bowdlerized, ablated, excised, amputated from reality, it just destroys countless claims. And a lot of people, some whose names you would recognize, some you wouldn't, but a lot of people would sleep so much better at night. And nobody would be paying attention to the case one way or the other. Isn't that fascinating? Think about it. My friends, do me a great favor. Please subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Liking is our currency. Please subscribe to it. Hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And please, I beg you, I ask you to comment as you see fit.